Flight Simmers. Today I am showing version 2 of the Yak-55M VR conversion. I've made a couple of modifications to this file, which you can find on xplane.org. I will leave the exact link in the show notes below. But I've made a couple of changes to this because I have since learned how to make some things manipulatable. Sorry. I will be controlling today using nothing but my VR controllers and my rudder pedals. And let's go hop into the plane here and center my view. Okay, so one of the big things I've done here is I've made the joystick, the controller, fully controllable and manipulator with just the VR controllers. You can see it follows my hand pretty reasonably well. I'm using this using the latch controller turned on. So because of that, I just have to click it once anywhere on where it shows up green, and then I just can move the controller to the left and to the right, forward, backwards, whatever I need. You can see it fully controls my control surfaces of the plane. Let's put this in here. The other thing I've done is I've made the throttle now fully controllable. Now this is going to be a little difficult for me because my chair has armrests on it. It kind of gets in the way, but I can just go ahead and you can see it follows my controller pretty reasonably well. That's full throttle and no throttle at all. I didn't make any changes to the prop. This knob right here, that is nothing more than the friction lock for the throttle. So it isn't modeled. It doesn't need to move. It has no animations programmed into it. And then finally, I've changed. Well, I didn't. That's not the only thing I did, but I also changed the cowl flaps to move along with the controller as well by putting it in the Z direction only. Now it does sort of screw up if I come over here and then I grab it again. It kind of gives me a different angle, but that angle is based on where I think the graphic is at the time, but it still follows pretty well. So, and one thing about this plane is when I fully close the cowl flaps, you can see they're fully closed here, but when I open them, they are also open here. So they animate with the controls. That was already in the plane. I just thought that was kind of neat. Now this is really lastly what I did. I recentered some of the hot spots that were on some of the knobs here. So if you remember some of the knobs, the control here, this was only like the bottom half of the knob here. Same with this one. I've since moved them to sort of center them on the knob. And here also on the magneto switch, I centered it. It was the lower half of that gauge there. Now it's in the center, so it feels a little more natural. And then everything else is pretty much the same. So I'm going to take the Yak up for a spin and demonstrate how I can fly it just using my controllers without my SciTech yoke. And I've got my AviTab open and right on Palomar Airport again. I'm in Palomar Airport. We'll go ahead and grab ATIS and demonstrate some of this working. Now the real plane actually started using compressed air, which doesn't have to be modeled in this plane. This is why you have an inoperative switch over here. There would normally be like a valve or something here with a compressed air tank somewhere mounted on in the interior of the cockpit here, and that would help start the plane. I don't need that, so that's one of the reasons why this is an op in the sim. So let's go ahead and start up. Got my toggles here. I can put in my fuel and the ignition on. I have that here, and I can go ahead and get this going here with a sort of a small amount of prop. Oh, by the way, the timer also works too. So if I wanted to start the timer, I can press on that. That's also been centered. You can see it's sort of the second, this hand is now going. I can stop it by pressing it again, and then I can reset it back to 0. Now that sometimes helps when you're performing some of the maneuvers, if you want to do aerobatics with this thing. So that's good. Let's go ahead and, by rotating, I can get on both mags there. And I should be good to start. Let's see, I need to prime. 2, 5, good. And now I can press the start button here. And we are started. I can go ahead and close that. Okay, now let's go ahead and get ATIS, turn my radios on. I don't need pitot heat. Let's see, the frequency is 12015. Again, I can now control these. 1, 2, I know it's a little hard to see there.
MC McClellan Palomar Information Sierra 1800 Zulu weather. Wind calm, visibility more than 10. Sky clear, temperature 14, dew point -10. Altimeter 2992. Arriving runway 06, departing runway 06. Advise on initial contact you have Sierra.
Okay, I'm setting my altimeter now by rotating the knob here. That's now been centered as well. Let's turn the radios off. So winds are calm. I can take off towards the ocean. That'll be easier since that's kind of where we're heading. And when you taxi, you want to have the stick all the way back. You just pull it back and delatch and leave it there. And to take off the brakes, I'm going to use my pedals. Okay. Now I still use the pedals for the rudder control and for steering. So let's taxi to the runway. Go ahead and close the cockpit by hitting on this panel here. It's kind of on the edge here is where you need to aim it, and you just hit right on the cockpit sort of frame there. I won't bother with a run-up, just because this is a demonstration video. Still suck with flying tail draggers. Whoop. Okay, I think I'm reasonably centered here. Okay. Okay. Recenter the. Let's go ahead and go. Alright. Get into a climb. And this actually feels a little more like joystick flying rather than flying with just the yoke. Because I am actually following the joystick with my hands. I can actually switch hands if I want to. Okay, so it fully works. We're going to climb to about 5,000 feet and then we'll do a few maneuvers. Put some prop in. Okay, almost at 5,000. Okay, time to level out. Speed up. And let's start with a loop. So down a little bit, gain up some speed. And then want to look out one of your sides here. As you get over the top, throttle down. And there you go. You know, you didn't see it, but my left was controlling the throttle there, which would be easier to do if I didn't have my armrest here. So it's a little kind of throwing me off a little bit. All right, so now I'm going to do an Immelman, full throttle, gain some speed. So if you want to do fast barrel rolls, you actually have to really crank over that joystick now. Whereas before I was just doing it with the yoke, it was really easy. Now it's like I have to really yank it, you know? Really, let's do the other way. Right? Because my hand actually has to go where the joystick is going. So let's do a reverse Immelman. Not bad. Probably not my best. So let's do one more and then we'll head back to the airport. So I'm going to do let's do a hammerhead. So gain up some speed, go straight up. This is kind of hard to coordinate now. Whoops. Yeah, now you might want to just keep the trigger on. Let's try that again. So it's much more difficult. I think it's more difficult to do this with the joystick, but instead of the way I was doing it. So now it is completely optional still to manipulate the joystick with your controller. You can still use, if you have a Cytec or if you have a physical yoke, you can still use that. It's no problem. But now it's just that these surfaces are now manipulated in the 3D environment, and you can grab them with your controller, and that's really the biggest improvement I've made since doing this. So let's go ahead and see how it lands. Let's go ahead and head back to the airport. Let's open the cowl flaps. So pattern altitude is about 1,500. I still suck at landing tail draggers, so hopefully this won't be too bad. There's the airport over there, I believe. Go over to the other side of the airport here, then we'll come on in. Now, you have to be careful doing acrobatics in this thing. You actually can put this plane into a flat spin, which I did the other day, and I crashed. Wasn't able to pull out of it. So this does force you to be a lot more precise. It is very responsive. You can see that. Okay, we're at pattern altitude now. That midfield will slow down, or we'll start getting her slowed up. Okay. I'm going to just sort of keep my throttle triggered while I do this. Maybe I won't do so badly. See if I can land. I need to lose some altitude here. Ah, not too bad. Not too bad. All right, now that we're on the ground, yoke back. Well, I'm gonna go to the next one. Didn't slow down. I'm a little afraid to brake in this thing because I don't want to go over the top. But not a bad landing at all. I'm actually pretty pleased with that. Alright, back to the fuel pad, which is right here. Gotta be careful. See, always afraid to break. All right, let's see. Let's go ahead and shut down. And magneto's off. Okay, well, you know, that's what I wanted to show you. So those are the improvements I've made to the Yak-55M. And, you know, if you fly VR, I hope you enjoy it. And, you know, this is my way of giving back to the community somewhat with all the stuff that I've downloaded for free off the org. And I have some other projects that I'm thinking about doing for VR as well. So hopefully, you know, you'll see more from me. I want to give a big thank you out to Joe from SimVR Labs for teaching me a lot about how to do some of this stuff, and his tutorials have been extremely helpful in being able to do some of these modifications that I've done today. So big, huge thank you to SimVR Labs. And with that, I'll see you next time. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe and ring that alarm bell if you want to be notified of any new content. I'll see you next time on Father Son Flight Sim. Have a great day.